Today I'm pretty excited because I get to test out my new camera, so I'm interested to see how this all looks once I get it back on the big screen. So what I've got here in front of me is the 2019 Toyota Yaris. So I'm just going to take you around as usual. Looking at the side, we can see this is one of the more basic models. This has just got the hubcaps and nothing really special to look at. So I'm going to take you around the front. And then looking at the front, it's just got that Toyota look there, that familiar Toyota look. And then you've got no fog lights or anything like that. So just the headlights there. And the funny thing is it's actually only got one windscreen wiper there. So I guess that's just to save on costs. And I guess it's only a small car, so you can get away with one windscreen wiper. So back around the side here again, just having a look again of the side there, and obviously 4 doors this is, but they're very small cars, so good for the city, good to sort of fit into sort of tight parking spots and things like that. Back around the back, and I actually don't mind the back there, I think it looks quite nice. And then you can see it's got the reverse camera in there, the back there. And then we'll take another look back around the side of the car. So yeah, just that's the outside of the Toyota Yaris. What we're going to do now is I'm going to jump inside. We'll take a look and we'll see what features it's got and what it's like inside the car. So now inside the Toyota Yaris, again, it is a basic car, so I'm not expecting much in here in the way of features and in the way of looks and things like that, and I guess that's what you get. So you've got the heads-up display here, which is sort of obviously just your speedo, your fuel, and then your revs, and then you've got a bit of a digital display there as well, giving you sort of an indication of the time, temperature, and the odometer reading. This one you can see has got 21,000 kilometers on it, so it's not exactly new, but it's still, you know, fairly new. Now you've still got all the electrics and things like that, so you've got full electric windows there. You can control the central locking from here. You've got the electric mirrors there. This one you've got still the dial, so you can sort of answer, hang up the phone from the steering wheel there. You've got the volume controls and a few mode controls. It's got cruise control and things like that as well. So you still have a few options there. It's got the auto headlights there. And then we'll have a look around here at the center. We'll have a look around here at the center console display. So we've got a very basic display here. It doesn't have Apple CarPlay of any sort, so you can plug a phone in through the USB socket, which is down there, and you can play music from your phone. But having a look here at the setup here, it is very basic. So you've got your sort of Bluetooth connectivity for your telephone. You can listen to audio from your phone, and then you've got other settings like your general settings. It is a touch display there, but it's all, as you can see, very sort of basic there. Looking at the back of the vehicle settings, there's some customization there, but as you can see, there's not too many different options available there. So looking around the car, and it is, as I said, a small car, but you've still got a reasonable amount of space here in the front. Seats, very basic, nothing to get excited about. They definitely don't hide it being a cheap car. So some of the cars that you can get in these days, there's obviously, most of them are all plastic inside, but they try and hide the plastic with some nice shiny material and things like that. There's no hiding the plastic here. That's pretty advertised as you can see here. It looks very, very plasticky, and it looks very basic, and they're not trying to make it look any more upper class than or hide anything here. So yeah, just the very basic of the basic there. So the gear stick is down there. No Tiptronic on this gear stick, so you've got your third, second, and low gear options there. You've got your standard handbrake, so no handbrake button there. You've got traction control, which you can just see now with the light button, so you can turn that on or off. And then you've got a few cup holders. As I said before, one USB port. This one does have the luxury of air conditioning. We'll take a look around the back of the car and see how much room there is in the back of the car. So in the back of the car now, And I have this car seat back probably 3/4 of the way here, so there's a tiny bit more room. But if you're a taller person, you'd probably have the car seat even further back, which would very much limit the amount of room you'd have in the back here as an adult. But for my height, which is just under 6 foot here, then I can sit in here with still enough comfortable leg room. Probably wouldn't be that comfy with 5 adults in here. I think the maximum you'd want is about 4 adults in here. Not much to really talk about in here. You've got some rear cup holders that you could utilize and a rear storage compartment. No rear air conditioning or anything like that in here. And then you've got your standard things like, you know, your hanger for your clothes or suits or laundry and things like that. You can control the windows from in the back here, which is always a good thing. And the seats, again, fairly basic, comfortable enough, but nothing to get excited about. And again, not hiding the sort of budget sort of level that this car sits in with its price point. So we'll take a look now at the boot and see how much room is in the boot. Okay, so just taking a look at the boot, we'll just open the boot up. There, so you're probably good to fit one big suitcase in there, or one big and then small suitcase in there. You might be able to fit 3 small suitcases in there if you're lucky, so not a huge amount of room. So you wouldn't want to be taking too many adults on a long trip in this, because you'd struggle to fit the adults in there. So you have in here a bit more room, so there's a bit of a additional storage compartment for storing things there. I can't see where the spare tire would be in this. I'm just going to have a look under here. I'm assuming it is. Yeah, there is a spare tire under there. It looks like it's a space saver tire in there. So at least you don't have a puncture kit, at least you do have a spare tire in there. No USB jack or anything like that to see of, just a few little compartments there that you might be able to use for storage. As you'd expect, it was a manual closing here. And then we'll close that back up. So jump in the car and I'm going to talk about what it is like to actually drive it. So what it's like to drive the Toyota Yaris. Look, it's not going to be an exciting car to drive. Like, obviously it's got a 1.3 litre 4-cylinder engine in it. It's in the class of budget small car, so someone who doesn't want to spend too much, get a car that really is built to get you from A to B, and really more of a car that's built to be driven around the city and things like that. But in saying that, for what the car is, and comparing it to, say, the Toyota Corolla, which I drove a few months ago, which obviously is in a different category to this car because it's obviously bigger than this car and things like that, it doesn't drive too dissimilar to the Toyota Corolla. So yeah, when you put your foot down, it makes a lot of noise, this car, but you don't actually see the speedometer moving. So definitely not the quickest car, and you're definitely not going to get anywhere too fast by putting your foot down. But if you're just cruising along, like I did some highway driving this morning, it got up to 100 fairly easy. Once it gets up to 100, 110, it sits on 100 and 110 without any issue at all. The car is smooth enough. It is not one of those really refined sort of feels or anything like that. Like, you can hear your road noise and tire noise and things like that, but it's smooth enough. It's no less smoother than the Toyota Corolla I drove recently. No much technology at all to really talk about in here, besides really your cruise control. I spoke before about the reverse camera you've got there, but really that's about where it ends, besides the technology that you pretty much have to have standard in cars these days. The handling of the car, it's a small car. It doesn't handle too bad. It holds the corners reasonably for what you'd expect. The brakes are fine. It's a light car. I probably wouldn't expect anything else from it, being a light car, small car, and wanting to have the safety features of a car with good brakes. The stereo system in the car is not great, but if you turn up the bass, which I did when I was testing it earlier on, and pump up the volume, it still sounds okay for, again, a very basic, cheap sort of stereo system. So all in all, what do I think of this car? Look, for what it is, it's not too bad. Like, that's not sugar-coated. Like, I would never buy this car, and I find it very boring driving this sort of car, full stop, and it's very hard to get any excitement out of it. But I guess this sort of car wouldn't be looking for such a buyer as me, who likes more performance cars and who likes to sort of get enjoyment out of a car and sort of really enjoy cars. This sort of car is looking for car buyers that really just need to get, as I mentioned before, from point A to point B. They don't need to carry around too many people. They would generally live in the city, so they can find parking quite easily, and they can fit it in tight parking spots and things like that. And it doesn't cost much to run or even service the car. So it definitely serves a purpose. For that purpose, I think this car is quite good, just for that purpose. But generally, if you're looking at an exciting car to buy, being it a small car, this is definitely not the car that you would buy. As I said, there's no excitement in it. It is as basic as really basic comes these days in cars, but engineered well enough to sort of do what it needs to do smoothly and comfortably. So all in all, for what it needs to do, it's good. But would I buy it? Would I want to drive it on a daily occurrence? Definitely not my sort of car at all. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope the video was useful, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you do like my videos, please feel free to click the subscribe button below and subscribe.